Hello folks, and welcome to another update for the Alpha 17 release for 7 Days to Die. We spent a few days looking through the forums and the posts that Joel and Roland were putting out. We've looked at the confirmed elements that they're bringing into the release, and we also have some interesting images showing the lighting systems and all the developments that they've put in. Hopefully, we should get it soon, and I hope you enjoy this video.
Hey guys, Sauce here with FFAwesomesauce. We're going to go do a bit of a follow-up to the last video we had. Mostly just go over some changes we've noticed on the forums, go over some stuff that actually was posted by Roland in direction to Skippy to kind of answer a few questions as far as, where's A17, when's that going to happen? First of all, FFAwesomesauce, how you doing, man?
I'm not too bad, matey. It's been a hectic couple of months, hasn't it, from the Fun Pimps? In terms of A17, there's been a lot of backwards and forwards from people looking at what they've been saying of, it's July, it's August, where is 17? And hopefully we'll help them identify where the problems are in this little podcast.
So I'm going to go ahead, like I said, we're going to open up with the reply from Roland to Skippy. And to kind of give you an idea, Skippy had said, hey, I saw that it's done when it's done. I'm kind of paraphrasing here, but
hello,
basically,
folks,
it's
and welcome to another update for the Alpha 17 release for 7 Days to Die.
You say that.
In this video, me and Sauce have looked at the forums,
so what it is from
by
Roland,
Joel and by Roland.
Hey Skippy,
why it
no disrespect meant. I know not everyone reads every single post as they try to catch up on all the posts, so I will break it down for you and everyone else who are wondering what happened.
And we've also included some
in
of the videos
June,
and images.
Mad Mole said in a video that he was hopeful
the
that they would be done with A17 by the end of July. He admitted that it was a guess, but that it was his estimate on what he felt would be possible. In early July, the team made the choice to upgrade to Unity 2018.2 because at first glance it appeared that it would have some solid performance benefits and no major inconsistencies from the previous version. It was a risk, but one that they felt was worth it for the benefits. They were right about the benefits, but they were wrong about inconsistencies. It turned out their shaders became incompatible and needed to be redone. This caused a delay much longer than they anticipated. Towards the end of July, as people were submitting bug fixes and uploading new art assets from their local builds to the shared build, the magnitude of new art assets overwhelmed the atlases that they use. This has caused another unforeseen delay as they have had to find an alternative solution to be able to include all the new art in the game. They have found a solution and are doing that conversion. The bad news is the delay it caused, but the good news is that all the new content will be included in A17 is awesome and will be able to be supported. At the end of July, when I knew that Mad Mole's guess was going to be wrong, I changed the date to August, which caused an eruption from a segment of the community who thought that, quote, hope, and quote, guess, and quote, estimate really meant, quote, promise, and quote, vow, and quote, set in stone. Then when August 1st came and all the, quote, it's August, where is it posts started appearing, I changed it to, quote, August, or so that people would know that even August was just an estimate. But people went ballistic, and the dev diary went off the rails. I had to move over 150 posts out of this thread, all because some people couldn't understand the difference between maybe and definitely. That is how it's done when it's done came about. I realized that the immature segment would never understand the concept of, quote, estimate, and if they were going to be mad no matter what, then I didn't have to deal with constantly updating the date. I added the smile because someone thought the phrase sounded petulant and passive-aggressive, and smileys always make forum posts better, right? But now, LOL, we have people trying to assign special meaning to the smiley. It will be done just as soon as the unforeseen issues are handled and the known bugs that are considered showstoppers are squished. There aren't going to be any more Unity updates before A17, and they know the full extent of the massive amount of new content and have a framework that can support it all. They are not holding out on us and stringing us along. They will get it into our hands at the soonest possible moment they can. Thoughts on this from you, FFAwesomesauce?
Well, this is one of the things. I mean, they just took the decision to say, right, hang on, Unity, which is the proprietary engine they're using for developing this game, they've updated their systems. They went from Unity 4 to 5 in 16. They've then looked at 2017, and it went to 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Then it went to 2018, 1 and 2. And they're saying in Unity 0.2, and I do work in Unity 0.2, I do a lot of work with it with the students that I teach. There is a lot more features and a lot more things that Unity has squished that cause problems with games that are made within their within their engine. So for me, it's a no-brainer. You move to the latest update. And unfortunately, because of all the content, and don't forget, they don't actually have a central headquarters. They're relying on people from around, I think it's from around America. I think they have actually makers in the UK and in Europe as well that send these content over. So it's got to fit together. And as soon as they update the engine to 2018.2, it says, well, hang on a minute, our shaders are not working correctly. You're getting this lightly, you're getting this, you're getting that. We've got to fix that. If we put it out as it is now, because we said we're putting it out in August, we're going to lose more people because we've just released something that I won't name again. My students will know the game I hate with a passion. We released something so terrible, we're going to turn more people off than we will gain. So let's just say, look, and he didn't say it was coming out. It says we're hoping it'll come out. So people, like as they say, hope is not will. They want to do it, but because they want to give it the best game they can do, they've gone forward 2018.2, and they're fixing the bugs that's brought in. So for me, it'll be done when it's done. It's an alpha game. You've got to expect these bumps in the road. Nothing straightforward.
It even says early access, and you kind of knew what you were getting into. And at this point, if you buy an early access game, you have to know what it is. I mean, if it's someone from way, way, way back, I mean, you have to have known that this is kind of what the game is. Every alpha has taken a certain amount of time. Things are going to come up. I know when they went from Unity 4 or whatever it was to Unity 5 before they started the year thing, there was a decent amount of gap in between the updates and stuff like that. So, I mean, but the benefits were there, right? I mean, the graphics looked so much better. Obviously, with the pictures and stuff we've seen, I'm showing those now. We can see the quality is definitely improved. Me, the biggest thing is performance. So, I don't want them releasing a game that the performance isn't improved or at least up to snuff. I don't want it taking a step backwards. So, I get that aspect of it 100%, absolutely. I've never been the person that's like posting on on Facebook or on the forums complaining like, hey, where the fuck is this? Why is this? I'm not the one that goes on there and complains at all. I mean, that's not me. So I don't agree with that half the community, but I do share, at least to some extent, their frustration. It's like, I felt like when he said that, I did hear this is when it's going to happen. I think part of the problem is, in the past, for the most part, he's never really given a definitive, okay, this is when this is coming out. But when he gave something like, we're hoping for this, it's been usually shortly thereafter. But I also don't think they've had this kind of issue before where it's like they update and complete hell breaks loose and everything falls apart. So I think that obviously has a part to play in this as well, whereas he anticipated it being that based on all the information in front of him.
Yeah, I mean, that's it. At that time, 2018.2 was not on the table.
No, exactly, yeah. And I like the fact that they put that in there. I mean, if they had released a post, I mean, I think this would have been in their best interest to have Joel come out there with another video once they realize, like, hey, listen, we decided to move forward with adding this into the game. It might push us back a little bit of time. Just be patient with us. We'll get that taken care of. I think that would have made most people happy. I don't know if everyone would have been happy with that, but I get the thinking here because the last couple alphas have taken 9 months to a year almost for each one to be released. So I get that, with the amount of content, obviously, it's going to increase the time frame here. So I get the thought process. If we don't include this now and we're waiting until till Alpha 18 or whatever, 2019, it's going to be a while. I mean, and all the advantages this could possibly bring to the table as far as performance and stability and everything like that should be in sooner rather than later, so that we can actually focus on other things versus trying to improve this system for this is going to be a big part of A18 that's going to take away from what A18 should be, which hopefully is going to be bandits. We'll talk about that in a moment. But I think that I think they mishandled it to a certain extent how they were informing us, but I get their perspective of saying we never said set in stone, but I think you have to make an expectation with yourself as well as everyone else, so that if you mention a time frame, even if it's not, no matter how far you go to say this isn't for sure, this is what we kind of want it to be, we'll see. People are like, okay, it's going to happen then for sure, right? Because that's what I'm hearing. I took out the piece that I like, and that's the part I'm holding on to. Yeah,
well, this is it. The pick up on the sound bites of July, August release, and they say, right, it's going to be then. But they didn't hear the we're hoping. Or we're expecting it to be expecting. It's like we've both got kids. Your partner expects a child on this date. you know, sometimes it doesn't happen on that day. It could be a couple of days early, a couple of days late. What are you going to do? Blame whatever deity you worship and say, you told me it was going to be this date. No. Life gets in the way.
Yeah, it happens.
Things happen.
That's business. That's business to a fucking T right there. I mean, that's stuff comes up and you have to roll with the punches. And I mean, you buy into early access, you have to expect things like this to happen until it's a final game. And even after it's a final game, as we can see from a lot of other things that have been released as quote unquote final games, nothing goes exactly to plan.
Oh, no. I mean, one of the things is later in the reading through the forums, it's maybe a couple of weeks ago, when Roland and those images that you're showing now released those images, he actually said that Joel wasn't going to do a video because he didn't feel that the game was in a state at which he could release a video to show what they've been doing. And this is what the arguments we were having earlier. You were saying, you know, why hasn't he come out doing it? But I just remembered now, Roland said that Joel would not produce a video because he didn't feel he could show where it's at. Sure. Because he didn't like it. It wasn't ready to be shown. It could have put out a little... It might have put something out on Twitter. I had not followed his Twitter feed.
I do. Nothing that I've seen as far as saying, like, hey, it's been... I mean, my point was he could have released a video not showing the game, just saying, even just a green screen of him in front of, like, a dumpster fire or something like that, or maybe, like, a newsroom where papers are flying everywhere to show the chaos that's happening right now, you know what I mean? And just say, hey, we're not going to make that date. We want to give you the best game possible, so give us a little bit of time, and we're going to deliver for you, you know? Just Aaron Rodgers, RELAX, you know?
I don't know. Maybe he's got his head so far into the actual engine that he can't see, you know.
He's under the vehicle right now working on it.
Well, this is it. You know, it's like I said, there's so many people dotted around it. I don't think the Fun Pimps actually have a central dev base. I think they're all remote.
Yeah, he's talked about that before. I think a few of them live nearby each other, but I don't think any of them live like all of them live on one central area like you're describing.
Yeah, so it's so coordinating those people and this, that, and the other. It's a massive strain, you know. And like for me, it's when it's done, it's done. I just hope, you know, it's sooner rather than later. And I think when it comes out, people will turn around and say, "Well, actually, I'm glad they took the time."
Yeah.
And they put it out, and it is as good as this. I mean, those images, like I say, they're showing now, they look absolutely sweet as God knows what. It's like when you see 7 Days in its first connotation in Alpha 1.
Oh God!
And compare it to Alpha 15, it's night and day difference.
Yep.
And hopefully we're going to get something like that, because I know Unity 2018.2 has a lot of stuff, and Unity are buying a load of developer stuff as they go and add it into their engine as well. So there's a lot that Unity have done to increase the capabilities. So there is a lot going on in the background that, you know, people are blaming the Fun Pimps, but they're using a proprietary engine. So if the developers of the engine say, here's a new release, and the shit's on your doorstep, you got to jump over the thing, else you're going to go straight through it.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like, I mean, the biggest the change you're referring to, and I don't know for sure. I think it was 11 to 12 or 10 to 11. I don't remember which one it was, but the change in quality was fucking huge, man. I mean, just it looked like a brand new game because of just the change. Because that old style was just really blocky, and it was just a slight step above Minecraft, and not even by very much. And the way it looks now, by comparison, is just you can't even tell they're the same game at all anymore. If it wasn't for the logo on the front of the box, you wouldn't know it.
That's it. You know, so for me, yes, it's frustrating because I'm on holidays at this moment in time, so I would love to get my teeth into 17 and really do something. But, you know, I'm going to be back teaching, and I'm not going to have that too much time. But it's still going to give me something to look forward to. At the end of the day, it's coming out. We know it's coming. We just have to wait.
Absolutely. So let's go ahead and dig into this new stuff they put on here. They actually did a really cool thing for us and for everyone else as well, obviously, where they actually highlighted with a specific color green, as well as obviously adding the date at the end so they can show the changes that have been made to the feature list. We'll kind of do like we did before. We'll kind of go through each section, you know, one by one, and to kind of go back and forth on it. So the first change here is in weapon overhaul that I see, and if I'm wrong, feel free to correct me there, Amrath. But it looks like there's 6 tiers of weapons. Each tier determines how many mods can be attached and durability, and then weapon damage determined by mods and skill, not weapon tier level. So what that tells me is that they're still maintaining the current system where if you're at 1 with rifles or you're at 100 with rifles, the person with 100 is going to do 100, maybe not scaling like that 100 times, but they're going to do drastically more damage with that rifle versus someone that has no skill whatsoever, which is something I think makes this game really, really good, is you have to put forth the effort into everything. The 6 tiers of weapons, it sounds like they're kind of sticking with the old system there a little bit, and as much as like the quality level, because I think you even said in one of the screenshots you can actually see a number.
Some items that have the numerical value, the full up to 600 numerical value, on some items that don't. What Joel said in one of the videos is they're getting rid of the numerical value, still having the color code, which is obviously the 6 tiers that they're keeping in there, but they're doing away with the numbers. Now, for what I can see on that last point, the weapon damage determined by mods and skills and not weapon tier level means exactly as you say, the more times you shoot a sniper rifle and the higher you get your skill in it, the more damage you're going to do. Not like someone picks up I just picked up a level, for argument's sake, level purple sniper rifle, and I'm only level 1 in the game. I'm going to be able to one-shot somebody that's been in the game for 200 hours and been shooting a sniper rifle that's coming out of fashion, like it stood on Trump's wall. That's what I'm seeing there. So I think that's going to be really, really good, that, to be good at something, you're going to have to constantly use it, not just sheer luck of picking it up out of a barrel and Bob's your uncle, you got, a purple level crossbow and you're going to kill everything in one shot.
That's what I'm taking away from it. And I like the fact they're incorporating the mods, because I don't know everything about the mods. I don't believe you've shown really much of anything other than like the extended mags as well as the scopes and stuff, to my knowledge or to my memory. But it seems like it looks like they're looking to incorporate damage modifier mods, where it actually increases that. I don't know what those would be, because I'm not a gun expert here. I'm just American. But best I
thought you would be.
Yeah, common misconception, my friend. No, but I mean, from what I can tell, I'm assuming that's something that changes the receiver or something like that increases the damage. Like maybe it's more penetration of armor. So basically, you have like hollow tips or whatever they might be that penetrate armor, but they don't do like a damage over time or something like that. Or maybe you have like a bullet that doesn't penetrate armor but is damage, something along those lines. I would love to see something like that incorporated, because it adds that much more of an RPG element that I think this game really. I don't want to say that it's missing, because I don't think it's missing it, but I think it really benefits the game and sets it apart even more from its competitors.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that it did show in terms of weapon mods that I have seen is that you can increase the rate of fire of the weapons. You can increase the magazine size of the weapons. You can change out and put on different scopes for the weapons. He did talk about putting a choke on a shotgun, for instance, and a duckbill on a shotgun. There were them talks in there. The problem that I saw was they were using assets they bought from the Unity store just to place, hold, fill. I think he actually had the spring as one of the attachments before. I've no doubt you'll find that and show that one. But yeah, it looks like you can really, really make a difference with your weapons by putting different attachments on. And it sounds like they're saying, many mods can be attached in durability depending on each tier. So if you have an orange tier weapon, you only can put, maybe not even able to put one mod on it. You go to the next tier, you might be able to put one on, and up to purple where you can put 6 on, So that was going to make it very, very interesting. That it's almost like customizing your own guns to the greatest extent for different situations.
So going forward here, the progression overhaul, and this is something I'm kind of interested to see how they're going to handle, because best I can tell, they're literally overhauling the entire system, modifying everything, at least as much as like wellness and things of that nature. So first of all, the big standout here is the obviously inventory size. People have been clamoring for a long time for more inventory space because they don't have enough, they think, and I tend to agree to a certain point. I think a little bit more would be nice, but I think there's very creative ways to do that. I have a lot of my ideas. Joel, hit me up. I'll tell you what they are. So the first one, obviously, strength attribute affects inventory size. And essentially what that means is the higher your strength is, the more shit you can carry. And I'm assuming, because based on what it says here, must do activities in category to improve the category and unlock perks in that category. I'm assuming that your strength activity allows you to unlock perks that actually expands upon that. I think we looked up something earlier I don't know if it's on this list per se, that basically said that you'd have like the bottom 2 of the of your inventory locked, right?
Yeah, it's in the bottom of 17 changes and fixes list.
That's what it is. Okay, so 1 line of inventory slots added to backpack, but it was added to backpack. Okay, but bottom 2 lines locked at start. So yeah, so basically what I was wanting is here. In fact, gasp. Who would have thought? But so basically, you basically lose 1 line from what you would originally have had in A16, but you have the potential to gain 1 more should you actually put the effort into that strength. So I'm pretty sure we're all going to be hitting the gym for that one. And then the other thing is not enough skill points to buy everything. Special agent is the vision. I think that's already been kind of in the game, but my hope is what they were saying by this is they're going to really laser focus that into a better position, because right now you can, for the most part, put forth the effort to get almost everything. I've never had an issue not getting everything I wanted, but I couldn't specialize into everything. I never really tried, but based on the points I had, I'm fairly certain I could have gotten enough to be building and fighting and PvPing and not have to worry about it. So I like that, though. I like the fact they're specializing more.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's going to come down to how they're going to portray these character attributes. I know they said they're having strength. I don't think it was dexterity. I think it was agility that he was saying they're bringing in, and that kind of thing. So they're taking a lot of the RPG elementation side of things where you've got to put it in. So I think that's where you're going to be putting some skill points as well. So you can up your strength or you can up your agility. So obviously agility is going to be how fast you can move or how quickly you can search through objects and things like that and the other. And then, like it says, must do activities can unlock perks. So for instance, at this moment in time, scavenging, you can start off with quality Joe when you get to 10, isn't it? I think it is. So when your scavenging gets to 10, you can unlock quality Joe, which gives you a higher tier quality item that you can buy.
Well, the chance the item increases the quality or whatever, like plus 50 or something, 25.
Yeah. That's it. So I think that is going to change slightly. So that's where, that kind of thing is going to change. So for instance, I know in a couple of mods you've got the normal bow, then you can go to an iron bow and to the crossbow, and then you can get the different types of arrows. And I think the more you do archer, for instance, will give you the different types of bows or the different types of arrows. You're not going to get it straight away. So it's not. And this is one of the arguments we had. I don't know if it's an argument, but it was a conversation we were talking about.
We have discussions.
We used with discussions, yeah. You spam crafted. Yeah. You spam crafted your axe to take that up. In 15, amount of times I stood on top of a bloody the apartment building, spam crafting axes and just throwing them off the building side. Just to get rid of them. And it's like, well, that's me at level 600 on night 1.
Yep.
And I loved how they got rid of that bit. And I don't think they're going to be bringing it back in that per se. What they're saying is, right, if you use a pistol, you're going to get more accurate with a pistol. You might be able to get, it's not steady-headed, is it? I can't remember what perk it is.
I've never put
but there is a gunslinger.
Yeah, gunslinger, yeah.
It's gunslinger. Yeah, so you might be able to get a perk in gunslinger when you hit 15. So, and I think that's the way that it goes, and that's what I think they're going to try and bring into it. So it's going to be interesting because I know, like I said, the different attributes, you're going to have to really, really specialize your character. So if you're going to be, like we're saying in the PvE series we're looking at, the scavengers, they're going to have to put their strength up to maximum no matter what. Yep. So they're going to be coming back with a P.
Here's a jar.
I was reading the lines above, the 2 white lines above in the progression overall. Improving old skill system with a more robust and optimized framework. So they're optimizing the framework for skills. Also designed to work with items and buffs. So that's saying that you can get buffs, that help you speed up your search and bits and pieces like that. Character attributes added to better create classes and different play styles. So again, that leads to the fact of, like, again, in the PvE series, hopefully when we get 17, you're going to have people going out scavenging. You're going to have builders. You're going to have farmers. You're going to have people, stood at the forge all day, night and day, churning out God knows what, so, but they'll be specifically designed for that class. So this is opening it up to being a party game rather than a solo game, which I think is going to be a lot better. So
Yep.
yes, the person can play solo if they want to do so. It's going to be hard, which again I think is good because it makes it hard. You've got to really think about, right, I'm putting the skills into this because I need this, this, and this, and this. You can't just go, oh, I've got to level 600. I'll put the skills into every frigging thing. It's not going to get to the point. I think you're going to have a cutoff point where you're going to get no more skills. You've really got to say, right, that's it. I'm going to focus down. Like your Nomad series that you've been doing, you're going to have to put into scavenging because you definitely need scavenging. You definitely need your strength because you're going to be carrying all your shit with you.
Yep.
So you'd have to really narrow down your focus of what am I doing? What's my role within the system?
And even that kind of touch on that, the solo thing, it's going to be way harder, which is going to force you to have to, unless you're playing on a solo game, and I think most people are going to be playing on servers, obviously, you have to really approach that communal aspect of it. Like, okay, so I'm kind of good at this and good at that. I need to kind of specialize with my last few levels here to kind of set myself apart from everybody else as best I can. But that's going to mean you're going to have to trade. And so I think you're going to see a lot more trading cropping up, which is good for a community thing, because people that play by themselves and never interact with anybody ever, but still are playing on servers where there's other people, why the fuck are you there to begin with? Okay, if you want to be a by yourself and a hermit, go be a hermit on your own server, you weird fuck. Second of all, you know what I mean? If you're not having to interact with people, I think you lose one of the better aspects of this game of having to cooperate with people. So I think that helps it, because a lot of people play this game because they want to feel like the experience of being in Walking Dead and all those movies and all the series and stuff like that revolving around this type of apocalyptic world. And a lot of that always involves your interactions with the people in the world. Zombies are always just kind of a setting or a backdrop. They're never really the focus of those movies. It's the interaction with everyone around them.
Yeah, it's your survival and how you
exactly
interact with people to ensure that you do survive. Whether you kill the person next to you, or whether you help the person next to you, then in turn helps you.
Mm-hmm.
It's those types of things.
So, and kind of letting this kind of transition into the next one, the party quests will provide XP sharing when party members stay close to each other. How difficult are these party quests going to be that maybe you do have to actually make a couple friends in the world in order to be able to take these on?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's when Joel was talking about some of the dungeons, and again, they talk about the changed, I forget, Dyersville, I think, has been completely overhauled.
Yep.
If you're going on Nav's game, to have every house has a POI in it. Every house is a new POI dungeon. Yep. And he's saying, you're going to have to get through all these dungeons to the end boss, in essence, to actually complete it. Now, these end bosses, it's not going to be a case of bang, bang, end boss is dead, I've got the reward, we're off. Not like WoW. It's going to take some going through. And this is going back to the video we did before, where you said about nerd pulling up to the top of the tower. I don't think that's going to be, that's not going to be able to be done. I think there's going to be things in place that realistically, unless you really, really want to try and break the game.
Moving forward here to the next part, and this is the part that I really like. The training world section, random generated worlds are now 8,000 by 8,000 meters. I believe they were 10K before, 10K by 10K, right? And so world's been shrunk a little bit, but I like that. So that tells me they're being performance focused with this. They're wanting to make the performance a little bit better. And B, that's bringing everybody in a little tighter and closer. Means I get to kill more people. Nothing wrong with that. And the other part, this is my favorite, is random maps assigned a county name for multiplayer server games in order to hide the actual seed name. That's something I understand why they didn't incorporate it to begin with, because I don't think they realize the ramifications of it. Because currently, and I've tested this before, you have to go over 13 characters, and I don't believe they fixed it. If you go over 13 characters, the seed is still different, but the actual map viewer doesn't register over 13, if I remember the correct number there. So that's what you have to subvert it, and it's kind of annoying, because like some seeds are kind of like Fallout, I think, does a special, like, it makes a really big city. I think there's certain seeds that cause certain effects and things like that, if I'm remembering correctly here. But that is a great idea. That really helps, especially in PvP, more so than PvE, I think, because in PvP, if you can see where everything's on the map, you can know where all the hotspots are going to be for players, where traders are going to be to look for people, all that kind of stuff.
Well, this is it. It's like you say. You mentioned this in a couple of your videos back. So obviously, it sounds like you said, the fun pips are possibly watching your videos and taking hints from what you're saying. You need if you're playing a PvP server and you're up there with, like yourself, with quite a lot of viewers all the time, you are going to get these a-holes that think, I know what server is on. I'll get the map, I'll have a look at it, I'll see where it is, and I'll go, and just piss on his bonfire all the time. Now they can't see it. They can't see that. They don't know what the map's looking like or where it's going to be. Also, I think the nice thing is that if you join in a server, you can't see where the best loot's going to be, or set yourself up into the biggest town, because the counter name is just going to say, yeah, have a look. That's not the fucking map you're playing on. It's totally different. Deal with it. Unless the admin tells you the map seed itself, and then obviously that defeats the question, the point.
I'm hoping it's a feature, because I am thinking now that maybe there's some people that want that to be seen, but not everyone would. So I'm hoping it's a feature. I don't think it says here. It says map assigned to county name, so maybe it won't be. I don't know, but I think it's better to prevent that from being seen or searchable than it is to allow it. I think fewer people want it to be allowed. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but that's the circles that I run in.
Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, it's down to the server owner, isn't it? If they want it to be known, they'll post, by the way, we are running on seed Batman 435. There you go. Have fun. Look at the map. Find out where you want to go, and you can go there. Others will be saying, that's a county name. Find your own fucking way around the map.
So moving forward here for us, this is obviously the one line of inventory slots added to backpack. We've already kind of gone over that. The next part is game stage calculation simplified, level plus days alive. I'm assuming that's referring to like how difficult the things are you run across. If you find certain types of zombies and stuff. And I like that. And obviously I like a lot of stuff here, but this one really stands out to me because I've had a lot of issues where I've gone into a situation on the most recent server I played on, in fact, where I went into a small area, one of those little survivor camp things that are in towns. They look like a trader, but they're not. And there was two irradiated cops there, and there's a couple dogs. So I'm like level 3. What the fuck, man? Like I killed them and I didn't die. I'm not going to go out like that. But still, it was frustrating because I didn't understand why I was the low level that I was and still getting that. So hopefully, with the simplification of this, it improves the system in its current state.
You've got one problem with that, though. That it says level, and that is plus days alive. The problem being is that days alive section. Is that current days alive, or is that if you step on a landmine and blow yourself to Kingdom Come, does that set your game stage down? So say, for instance, you're level 3, you step on a landmine, does that set your game stage down to level 3 instead of being level 21?
I think it has to do with how long you've been alive before you died last, if I remember correct. Because I remember going over this once before with somebody, and I remember we actually looked it up. And the way it works is how long it's been since you've actually died, plus your level. I'm going to assume the days alive really doesn't play a huge factor if you're a higher level, like the impact that it actually has. But if you're like a level 200 and you've died like 2 days ago, it should still be throwing really difficult zombies at you. Whereas if you're like level 3 and you've been alive for 30 days, harder zombies, but within reason.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's it. So, I remember I'm on the PvP server with you guys. You haven't seen me there yet. I've hidden in the hole.
A ninja.
Yeah, but no, I was cursing you because I walked out into a town and every single fucking building I went to had a fucking dog in it. I'm level 3. I have a bow and 18 arrows. What am I going to do against a freaking set? I think I counted 8 dogs. That makes it more challenging. I was cursing you at the time, though.
No, absolutely. And that's the thing. I wonder if... I don't know that you can fix that because it's a server-based thing, right? That if one person walks through and spawns those zombies and you're right there behind him, I would like to see them maybe have a system to where when somebody walks into a town, it spawns that. If somebody else walks in, everything will spawn thereafter. It accounts for the difference in levels and meets somewhere in the middle. But I'm not even sure that's really necessary. If it's the first person there, you're kind of expecting it to be that way at some point, right? Like, so if you're expecting it, what's the difference?
Yeah, well, this is it. I mean, it's like day 300 on the server at the moment. Yeah, so you would expect at day 300 if you join on the server at level 1, it's like, oh shit.
Yeah, basically.
I might as well just put my head between my legs and kiss my ass goodbye now, because it's just you could have everything you wanted to chomp on your face.
Challenge quests found as notes grant XP instead of skill points. I think that's better. But then I have to wonder, when you get to the max level, is the only thing you have to gain skill points Or are you even going to be able to? I mean, is that one of the ways they're limiting skill points? And that being said, like, who the hell is doing skill points or doing the challenge quests anyways? Most of them are really annoying to the point of like, why am I even doing this? And they always have that bonus to where it's like, if you can do this in a certain amount of time, you're going to get this nice little bonus. I don't think I've ever gotten a bonus once, or if I have, it was so long ago, I completely have forgotten it since. And it always pissed me off.
I think that's what they changed. I think that's why they're changing it to grant you XP instead of skill points, because with people like, you know, it's like, if you do it within this time, you get 1 skill point. If you don't, you get another skill point. So you could get possibly 2 skill points if you do it in the time, or 1 if you don't. Killing 18 dogs in 2 seconds is not going to happen. So I'm only going to go for, you know, killing 18 dogs. You know, so I'll just get the 1 skill point. But with it granting XP instead of skill points, now might mean they might not possibly put the bigger time frame element to it. Also, I think these are from the challenge quests. I think they're coming from your traders. So that'll be, you know, go out to or go find me such and such and bring it back. Because that's what they were doing. If they're bringing in the different traders in, because like I say, that was in the last video where they're talking about they were having 4 or 5 different traders. One gives you a different quest to go out and do this, that, and the other. So they haven't mentioned that. So that's something to possibly keep an eye on as we get to it. Go out and get me an auger blade, and I'll show you how to build an auger. Is what there was the idea they were going for.
What you're referring to, are they taking out the books then, or is it just the books and that as an option?
I think it's books and that as an option. You know the video where Joe's talking about the trader encampment with the school bus? I think it's that one where he mentions that traders will have specific quests to send you out on, and you can go back and they'll teach you how to make a scope for a gun, or, you know, that kind of thing.
I like the mods, though. I think that's the way to do it, because like making the auger thing, I feel like the auger is such a necessary tool. I wouldn't be a huge fan if they removed the book for it, but I also wouldn't hate it if they did. I wouldn't mind that being like, okay, for this really end game-esque type item, you've got to do all these quests and earn the right to use it. And also, I hope they add something that continues beyond the end game, at least for some continuation of play and replayability, where, yeah, you're level 200 now, skill points are irrelevant, you've unlocked everything, but if you do this quest for me, I'm going to give you X. Like, so maybe it's like a really high-end scope that has some kind of special modifier, because again, they're adding those RPG elements, right? So I mean, it adds a really rare item that you can't really find anywhere. That would keep me wanting to do those quests.
Well, this is it. Plus also, you know, it might be a case of that you might get XP in a certain level, because if you're not getting skill points, you could get XP in a certain level, which then pushes that level to push that perk up.
Moving on to the fun part of this, dropped features. First of all, I don't remember this even being talked about, or maybe I just completely missed it, but it's blimp. When did we ever mention a blimp? Or when did they ever mention a blimp? When did blimp come up?
I've never heard of a blimp. I have heard of the gyrocopter.
So I'm wondering if they're replacing that with a blimp, because I think I would. The gyrocopter was cool looking, but I was like, that doesn't seem to fit. But a blimp,
no, I didn't.
A blimp feels like it might fit a little bit better. I imagine myself, you know, like from the Mummy and flying around in the blimp and stuff, or what was it? It was the second one, wasn't it? The Scorpion King. I could see that. That seems to fit a little bit better.
I've never heard of the blimp. Not in any videos, not in any forum talks or anything.
I have to imagine it's kind of like what we're thinking, whereas instead of a gyrocopter, it's a blimp. And again, that feels like it fits better. But at the same time, is it going to be done right? Because a blimp should be big, right? It should be like maybe not a full-on Zeppelin, you know, coming down in LA, you know, on fire or whatever. But you know, something where it's, or was that New York? I can never remember. But you know, something where you could get like, you know, 6 or 7 people standing on top of it, moving around. But can the system even handle that? Because you look at something like, you know, like Empyrean or even Ark, when you're standing on the platform and the thing's moving, you're falling all over the place and glitching and stuff like that. So I don't know that Unity can handle that or not. I mean, I'd be surprised if it could. I don't know.
I mean, we're getting close to the point where the size of the map is getting irrelevant anyway, because you know you've got the bike coming in, which is the push bike, which is I think is going to be fun, and you've got the big motorbike, and then you've got the big Jeep. This means getting from A to B is just going to be child's play. You bring in a gyrocopter or a blimp,
it's over.
You know, oh look, yeah, I want to go from one side of the map to the other. I'm there.
Well, I mean, I would imagine it moves slowly, but it takes out all the element of zombies and everything else down below you. That's why I was kind of like,
unless you can be sniped out.
Oh well, yeah, but then there's the players, and then requires bandits and everything else like that, which we're getting ready to talk about in a moment. I'm sorry. I promised myself I wouldn't cry on this one. Enough hot blip talk. Bandits officially postponed to A18. This is kind of what we went back and forth on, you and I, and you were, ever the optimist and saying, no, see, look at this, and I'm just, being the complete pessimist that I am, that I don't know.
So I was right until this point.
Yeah, you were. I wasn't gonna say it. You know what I mean? I wasn't gonna rub the nose in it. Yeah, I told you so. But I mean, I had that feeling in my spine, that little tingle right there on the back of my neck, where it's like, Joel's not really mentioning this right now, so clearly it's not going to happen. But I could feel it coming, because it's happened so many times where I've been lied to so many times. And I don't want to say it's lied, because it's they want to do it. They're just having a hard time getting it in. But I have to imagine the reason Bandits hit the cutting room floor this time was because of the problems they had with the new shaders. That's what it feels like to me. I think they were on the fence about it, and they were going to try to push for it, and they opted for the new shaders and say, okay, well, if this works, then we'll get those bandits in there, slap a sticker on it, we'll ship it out the door. And then when all the kerfuffle happened, then it's like, okay, we'll have to push bandits off one more time. So I'm hoping during the development time of A17 being out, and while they're bug fixing and stuff like that for us while we're playing it, I'm hoping everyone else is working on getting bandits in, because I feel like those have been a long time coming, and it's one of the biggest missing elements in this game right now.
Yeah, it's certainly doable. Again, modders, people that done Ravenhurst, Undead Legacy, who else is there? True Survival, all those people that are doing these mods, quite a lot of them actually have survivors, and some have actually got bandits in them. I think it's in True Survivor that actually take over the electricity plant, or this, that, and the other. They're very, very hit and miss in terms of the functionality of them and how, they really are within the game. But it shows that it is possible. So, again, I know the Fun Pimps take a lot from the modders and the developer, people out there that are putting these bits into the games and bringing things forward. So I can see them working, saying, right, they've proved it's doable. Let's see how we can make it so that it actually is integral to the system rather than just a shoehorn in, as it were. And that's what keeps my love for the game going, is the modders and what they're doing to it. And I think, realistically, the Fun Pimps, either they are talking to them and we're not seeing what's going on behind the scenes, or realistically should talk to them and say, look, you've done that. How did you get it to work? Shows your code. We'll give you, even if they just give them a nominational credit.
Yeah.
For, I think that's all they want. I have a credit for another game that took 4 years to come out, and it was like, yeah, and I don't see it anywhere, because I bought it like 4 years ago, 16 quid at a game fair, and it's only just been released into alpha last year, and it was like, well, where's my credit? And it still didn't show me anything. I was really peeved off about it. But if I could produce, well, it's right. If I can produce something for 7 Days to Die, even if it's a building, or if it's a weapon, or if it's just a GIF to show the class, and they say, and they just put credits, and you're in this massive role. Everybody's left the theatre by the time you see your name in the credits.
Yeah.
But if it's there, it's
something special, right?
I've got part of that. You know what I mean? So I think I think if they do reach out to the community, if they're for 18, hopefully they will, and just say, look, we want to move it on. You guys are doing a fantastic job. Let's talk. It can't hurt.
No, absolutely not. I mean, it's to their benefit, right? It helps them complete the game in a more timely fashion, which makes them look like a stronger company. Not to say they're not strong. I'm just saying that it improves your appearance. And that, to me, that's one of the biggest successes of ARK, is how quickly they embraced the modding community, encouraged them to work, and really brought them into the fold as far as developing the game. And I still, to this day, I love 7 Days. It's my favorite survival game, but I can't say that it's the best survival game. I think that goes to ARK just because of how much they've accomplished. I mean, how much money they made with that fucking game. They had the benefit of releasing with the Jurassic World, and we're kind of going off track here. But I mean, I think if you don't embrace that aspect of your community, you're only holding yourself back, because it doesn't hurt the community. They'll just keep developing mods and doing their own thing like they are now. Maybe they made their own client. I think there's a couple clients out there for doing the mods. If you were just to incorporate the workshop through Steam, which is the ideal way to be doing it, it just, it compounds that community.
Well, this is it. I mean, you look at, I don't know if you've played Rust.
Yeah.
But you look at that, their workshop. They control the workshop, and if people are designing these clothes, I mean, they're not items that realistically are game-changing items. They're just skins for the clothes. But people spend time creating the skins, so you can have these unique skins to put up onto the workshop, so that people can buy them or have them or wear them. And again, that you can even have your logo on a bloody hoodie in the game. Awesome. It's like that's it. So hopefully, they might start. If Joel is listening, Joel, start reaching out and saying, saying, look, that's fantastic. How did you do it? And maybe they have, because when Joel talks about the developers of the POIs, they said they've got a load of new people in, and some of the POIs I've seen ish in some other mods. So.
Yeah.
Hopefully they are doing that.
Maybe inspired by it at the very least, which is, it's your game. You should be able to make use of all the resources available to you 100%.
Yeah, that's it.
All right, guys. Well, that's basically it for all the updated stuff. Do you have anything else, Amaranth?
No, just get me the goddamn game, Joel.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, guys, and we will see you guys on the next one.
Bye.
By the way, we are looking for a researcher. So if you're interested in being a part of this crazy show we're trying to start here, get at us. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.